In 2024, scientists discovered an ancient burial with red ochre smeared on the bones from 300,000 years ago. That wasn't just a grave. That was a mind, one like ours, trying to make sense of death. So what else have we missed about our species? Cut to flashes of skulls, ruins, bones in caves, fossilized footprints, and a bold title fade in. What if the story of human evolution isn't a straight line, but a forgotten maze filled with missing pieces we're only just now recovering? In June 2024, deep within a South African cave system, archaeologists uncovered something that shouldn't exist. A burial site belonging to Homo naledi, a species with a brain no bigger than an orange. They found a shallow grave, and inside, a small skeleton carefully curled up, surrounded by soot, char, and what appeared to be red ochre. Now here's the twist. Homo naledi lived over 200,000 years ago. They were supposed to be primitive. No language, no fire, no symbolic thought. But this burial suggested otherwise. Why would a simple hominin perform rituals for the dead? Why decorate a corpse with red pigments? And how did they navigate deep cave chambers without light if they didn't control fire? This wasn't just a grave. It was a challenge. A challenge to everything we thought we knew about when humanity became human. Until now, symbolic burials were linked to Homo sapiens or Neanderthals, species with larger brains, advanced tools, and clear rituals. But if Homo naledi buried their dead, it means symbolic thought might have emerged earlier, and in unexpected brains. It also suggests intelligence might not look like we assumed. One scientist called it the discovery that forces us to redefine what it means to be human. This isn't just about bones and dirt. It's about who we include in our story and who we've ignored for too long. But that's just the beginning. Because 2024 didn't stop at South Africa. In the highlands of Ethiopia, archaeologists uncovered something else buried in volcanic ash. A clue that might rewrite the human timeline even further. In March 2024, a dig team in Ethiopia's Awash Valley uncovered something small, but world-shifting. At first, it looked like just another cracked tooth, but further excavation revealed a partial skull and fragments of a pelvis. And the dating? Nearly 2.9 million years old. That's over 400,000 years older than Lucy, the famous Australopithecus afarensis skeleton we once thought was our starting point. This new find, dubbed Dinkinesh's elder by locals, belongs to a transitional species, possibly even an early Homo ancestor. What's extraordinary is the environment it was buried in. Layers of volcanic ash, rich in microscopic glass from ancient eruptions. These ashes acted like a time capsule, perfectly preserving the bones. And nearby, a cache of sharp stone flakes. They weren't pretty, not like the hand axes of Homo erectus, but they were deliberately struck, showing control and planning, which means someone nearly 3 million years ago was already breaking stone to cut, scrape, butcher. That pushes the use of tools almost 1 million years earlier than what many textbooks still teach. What if stone tools didn't start with Homo habilis, the so-called handyman? What if earlier ancestors, ones we barely understand, were already unlocking the power of tools? It's a sobering thought. Because if tools came before Homo, then tool-making didn't define us. It might have been part of a broader evolutionary toolkit, shared across multiple species. These discoveries, graves and caves and tools and ash, are forcing scientists to ask hard questions. Was intelligence gradual? Or did it burst forth in multiple places? Were there once many kinds of humans, all experimenting, all innovating, before most vanished into extinction? And if so, why are we the only ones left? But as dramatic as that is, we're not done. Because just months later, in a frozen cave in Siberia, researchers would unearth something even more human and more haunting. In late 2024, deep in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, a research team returned to a cave that had already rewritten history once. Denisova Cave. Back in 2010, scientists had found a strange finger bone there. Not Neanderthal, not Homo sapiens. Something new. A cousin species, the Denisovans. And in 2024, they found something even more chilling. A Denisovan child's tooth, buried beside stone beads, ochre pigments, and a carved sliver of ivory, possibly a pendant. Let that sink in. This wasn't a kill site. It wasn't just a campfire. It was a burial, an intentional grave, decorated, symbolic. Which means these long-lost humans, with no written language, no cities, may have had rituals. They may have mourned. They may have believed in something beyond death. And here's the kicker. In a sediment layer just above the grave, scientists found Homo sapiens DNA. Us. It seems we lived here too, possibly even at the same time. Were we enemies? Neighbors? Lovers? Because remember, modern humans today carry Denisovan DNA, especially in parts of Asia and Oceania. Meaning, some of our ancestors didn't kill them. They merged with them. Every new find is adding pieces to a haunting puzzle. Intelligence didn't belong to one species. Innovation wasn't linear. And we, Homo sapiens, were not alone. We shared this earth with other intelligent, emotional beings. Some who buried their dead. Some who painted in caves. Some who shaped tools, made music, told stories by firelight. But now, they're gone. And we're left holding the bones. And the questions. Why did we survive when they didn't? Was it luck, language, cooperation, violence? As we step into Chapter 2, we'll go deeper into the bloodlines that still live on in our DNA, and how new tech is exposing ancient secrets hidden in our very cells. Let's start with something wild. In 2025, geneticists working on deep genome sequencing of ancient human remains found something unexpected in a 45,000-year-old bone from Romania. A DNA match with someone alive today. Not just a distant connection, an actual match in several genes, nearly untouched by time. That's how well preserved this ancient DNA was, and what it told scientists was stunning. The man it belonged to, let's call him the old man of Peshtera ku Oas, had Neanderthal great-grandparents. He wasn't just descended from Neanderthals. He knew them. Let that hit you. The man's grandmother, or great-grandmother, could have been Neanderthal. And he walked among early Homo sapiens, just as the Ice Age was tightening its grip on Europe. But here's where it gets even stranger. Many populations today, including in Asia, Oceania, and even parts of Europe, carry traces of both Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA. Some people even have double inheritance, both cousins within their blood. And those fragments? They're not useless junk. In 2024, researchers discovered that ancient genes may influence our immune system, how we handle altitude, even skin tone and sleep cycles. We're not just the children of survivors. We are the fusion of worlds. And yet, no one knows how often these species met. Were these peaceful mergers, captive-taking, trade, love stories? One thing is clear. Our DNA holds memories of worlds we'll never fully know. But in Chapter 2, Part 2, we'll travel to where the evidence lies buried beneath ash and bone, in ancient hybrid graves. In 2018, scientists discovered a bone fragment from a teenage girl in Denisova cave. It was small, brittle, barely enough to test. But what it revealed? Earth-shattering. She wasn't Homo sapiens, she wasn't Neanderthal, she wasn't Denisovan. She was all three. They named her Denny, and she's the first confirmed hybrid human, half Neanderthal, half Denisovan, with possible hints of Homo sapiens in the mix. 2025 studies using enhanced isotope scanning showed that Denny lived near river valleys and highlands, where Neanderthal hunting groups and Denisovan toolmakers may have crossed paths. And here's the detail that'll stay with you. They didn't find her body in a grave, just a bone splinter. No jewelry, no ochre, no markers. Some archaeologists believe her death wasn't peaceful. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was something else. Because what if she wasn't accepted by either side? A child of two worlds, with no world of her own. In this moment, science stops being just data. It becomes storytelling, emotional, human. It raises the question, how many other Denny-like children were born and forgotten? Because what we are, as a species, is built on the bones of those who didn't get remembered. The mixing of bloodlines wasn't just biological. It was civilizational. Cultures collided, families formed, and sometimes they broke. As we'll see in Part 3, it wasn't always union. Sometimes it was war. And the victors? They rewrote the DNA. He was young, no more than 18. Found in a sunken valley in Gibraltar in late 2024. His skeleton was nearly intact, an extreme rarity, crushed beneath rockfall. But his tools were untouched, sharp, refined. Even more shocking, a charcoal drawing on the cave wall near him. Simple lines, but unmistakable. A mammoth surrounded by human-like figures and what looks like fire. Scientists dated it to 37,000 years ago, long after Neanderthals were thought extinct. This may have been one of the last survivors. A Neanderthal, alone or in hiding, still painting, still remembering. We once believed they died out 40,000 years ago, overtaken by Homo sapiens. But what if they didn't vanish all at once? What if the last of them held on, painting stories in the dark while their cousins, us, spread across the land? That single discovery sent shockwaves through anthropology in 2025. Because it forces us to confront a possibility. The last Neanderthals didn't just die. They may have watched us replace them. And maybe they left us a message. A line on a wall, a memory in our blood. Today, genetic echoes of that boy and his people still live on in billions of us. You, reading this right now, might carry the shadow of that last Neanderthal's legacy. As we move into Chapter 3, we'll explore not just their extinction, but what it means to disappear, and how we might one day follow them. What happens when a people disappear and no one remembers them? That's the mystery that haunts the end of Neanderthals. For centuries, scientists thought their extinction was clean. Homo sapiens arrived, and the Neanderthals vanished. But 2025 studies from Portugal and Spain tell a messier, sadder story. They didn't disappear overnight, they retreated. From fertile valleys to rocky cliffs, from lush forests to barren caves, following the last herds, avoiding the fires of Homo sapiens, and their numbers dropping fast. New isotope analyses from Iberian sites show nutritional stress, shorter lifespans, and infant mortality rising sharply in the last 5,000 years of their existence. They weren't just dying, they were fading. Even their stone tools, once advanced, became cruder, their fires smaller, their hunting grounds lost. Imagine watching your people shrink, your language disappear, your world overrun by someone else's story. One 2025 theory from Cambridge University suggests they may have remembered, that oral traditions, myths, may have carried trauma. Think about that. Stories passed from mother to child, about the others, the ones who came with fire, with noise, with hunger. This isn't just about Neanderthals. It's a mirror. Because extinction doesn't always come from an asteroid or a pandemic. Sometimes it comes quietly, slowly, through forgetting, through replacement. And today, as we lose languages, cultures, species, maybe even ourselves, the silence after the Neanderthals starts to feel uncomfortably familiar. In 2025, a cave site in southern France stunned the world again. Inside, buried under 50,000 years of sediment, archaeologists discovered an arrangement of stacked stalagmites, arranged in perfect circles. They weren't natural. They were placed there by Neanderthals. What for? No one knows. Some say ritual. Others suggest shelter or early art. But one thing is clear. They were thinking. The people who built this structure lived in darkness, with no fire found nearby. And yet they created something precise, intentional, almost spiritual. Why does this matter? Because we want to believe we're special. That abstract thinking, symbolism, and belief, these belong to us, Homo sapiens. But what if they don't? What if the Neanderthals believed in something bigger? In gods, in ghosts, in memory? Maybe they had words for love, loss, forever. Maybe they had names. We'll never know for sure. But every new discovery, from pigment-stained shells to burial flowers, chips away at the myth of Homo sapiens as the sole artists of meaning. And it forces us to ask, if they were so human, why didn't they make it? What if we are just temporary victors in a long story of trial and error? Because civilizations rise and fall and leave only caves and questions behind. Now, in the final part of this chapter, we'll bring it back to us. What their story warns us about our own future and how close we might be to our own silence. Unlike the Neanderthals, we know we're vulnerable. We have satellites, data, warnings. We've seen pandemics, wildfires, droughts, and wars unfold in real time. And still, we press forward. A major 2024 study in Nature warned of cascade extinctions, tipping points where one species collapses and triggers a chain reaction. Sound familiar? It happened before. When mammoths died out, humans in parts of Siberia starved. When Neanderthals vanished, so did entire ecosystems of specialized animals. In 2025, that pattern continues, but faster. And the irony? We carry their DNA. We're their legacy. But will we learn from their ending? Because the signs are there. Cultural fragmentation, environmental strain, disconnection from the past. Just like them, we're watching traditions vanish, memories burn, nature shrink. But here's the difference. Neanderthals didn't get to tell their story. We do. We have cameras, words, article platforms, and if we're wise, we'll use them not just to entertain, but to remember, to connect the dots between then and now, to recognize that the past isn't dead, it's inside us, as fire, as fear, as hope. So the question isn't whether we'll survive, it's whether we'll be remembered. Imagine you're standing in a cave. The walls echo with wind. You see ancient handprints, charcoal lines, bones in the dirt. You're not alone. You're touching something that lived and died, trying to understand itself. That's the story of human evolution, not just survival, but searching for meaning. So ask yourself, what will we leave behind? Bones and ruins? Or stories? If this moved you, subscribe, because the next episode takes us deeper. Neanderthals versus Homo sapiens, the first war? See you in the next hunt for our origins.